What are 3 rules that someone needs to know about screenwriting?
Well, 3 rules. I mean, that's just an arbitrary number, but let's go with it. I think the first thing that a screenwriter needs to know is everything has to be connected to everything else. That's the biggest difference between a screenplay and a novel, in my mind, is that in a novel you can get away with saying something on page 1 that doesn't connect directly to something on page 158 and so on. But anything you say in a screenplay has to connect to everything else you say in a screenplay. If it doesn't, the audience is going to go, you know what I don't get is why that guy was wearing a red baseball cap in the first scene, and then in the 4th scene he was wearing a blue baseball cap. And then after that he wasn't wearing a baseball cap. Honest to God, that's the kind of thing that people say when they're having a drink or coffee after a movie, right? So every single thing has to connect with everything else. It's much more challenging because it's almost like building a building where if one thing isn't connected properly, the whole building could collapse. So I think that's the first thing a screenwriter has to know. And I think the second thing is screenwriters should know is that chronological order and logical order and psychological order have absolutely nothing to do with it. The only thing that matters is dramatic order. That's all the audience cares about. If you hook us properly, it doesn't matter where we go in the story after that hook, because we'll figure it out. We'll be so hooked that we will figure it out. You don't have to even say 10 years later or 5 years earlier or whatever. You can help to say that maybe, but you don't have to, because we're not stupid, you know, and that's the third thing. The audience is the main character in the story, not the characters. And pleasing the audience is what made the great directors, what makes them great, is they know what the audience is waiting for. In The Birds, you know, like one of my favorite examples, Alfred Hitchcock has, what's her name, Tippi Hedren, walking up the creaky wooden steps to the attic because she hears a noise in the attic, and she's wearing underwear because women are always wearing underwear in the last scenes of, you know, usually white underwear.
Right.
The last scenes of a horror film like Sigourney Weaver and Alien. So she's going up there despite the fact that she's locked in this house alone because she's afraid of the birds who have like tried to get in through the windows, whose beaks, you know, come through the windows. So why in the world would she go up those steps? You know, why would she do that? So if you start thinking about character logic or, you know, psychological order, you don't get the whole thing. You know, what is wrong with her? This is what you're thinking, you, the audience, as you're watching this. And she gets halfway up the steps and the noise gets worse. And she stops and listens to the noise. And why is she stopping? Well, there's a real good reason she's stopping. She's stopping because we need time. The audience needs time to catch up with the story. Because we need to remind ourselves, we need to first say all these things about how stupid she is and why isn't she wearing clothes and why doesn't she test the flashlight that she got from behind the couch. She doesn't even turn it on, she's just got it. And of course, at the top of the steps, it's not gonna work. But that's typical. And we're going through all this in our heads. But when she stops on the last step before she goes to the door, we're suddenly, all of our inner dialogue has stopped. And we're going, okay, actually, I paid $22 to get, you know, scared out of my mind. And that's where we are now. She's gonna open this door and I'm gonna be scared. And when you're ready for that, then she can open the door. But a person who didn't understand that the audience is the most important character in the story would have her walk up the steps, would maybe have her test the flashlight, would have a whole different way of doing it. But everything that a good director does is based on the audience, not based on the characters or what happens logically in the next order. It's based on what the audience is paid for. What are you here for? And am I going to lose you or not? Because on that middle step where she stops, you want to leave the theater? You know, this is the last time to come to one of these stupid movies. It's really, but okay, get up and leave. But if you're still there, then she goes up another couple steps. because he knows exactly what's going through your mind, and his job is to get you to that point where your mind is blank and you're just waiting to be scared, because that's what you paid for. And that's what I mean by, it's called the psychology of the audience. That is the most important part of, I think, screenwriting, is knowing that. Like, what does the audience want to see here? Not what do I have to do first, and what do I have to expose first? What kind of exposition do I need? It's like, how can I grab the audience by the throat and never let go of it?